how to record a guest interview episode for your podcast in SureTake. We're going to start here at our dashboard. Now, there's an important step that comes before this of actually getting the invite link for your guests so they can join the room at the scheduled time. That's covered in a different video. So in this case, we're just going to assume that that has already been done and the guest does have the link that they need to join you. So once it's time for the interview to begin, from your dashboard, you're going to want to open the studio for your show. Now, you can have multiple shows in SureTake. That's why you see on my dashboard, I've got a few, but in most cases, you're probably just going to have one. You hit the Open Studio button for your show. Go ahead and start session. I always recommend that you name it something, whether it's an episode title, episode number, the name of the guest, something to help you or your editor see what file is what after the fact, because you're going to have a bunch of recordings in your dashboard, and if you don't name them and you just leave the default date and time, it's going to be really difficult to locate recordings when you need them, okay? From here, go ahead and set your name. Now we want to take a close look over all of the settings here. First of all, are you wearing headphones? I need to put my headphones on. I highly recommend this for both you and any guests in the room. It's extremely important for audio quality purposes to use headphones, okay? If you hit no, which you should do if you're not using them, that will enable echo cancellation, which is mandatory for when people aren't using headphones. Otherwise, you get echo issues, and it's really not good. So you need to answer this accurately, but I highly recommend that everybody always use headphones. Now, we can see that my mic is working, and it is indeed set where I want it to be set as well. That's very important because sometimes this won't be correct. It might show, let's say, your computer's built-in microphone by default, and you don't want to accidentally do a recording where the wrong mic is set because it's not going to sound as good. So always look at this box. Even if you're seeing level, you want to double, triple check that you're using the correct microphone. Your output, that's what you hear through. So in this case, it's going to be this one for me. And then for the camera, we're correct as well. We're going to go ahead and join the room from here. Okay, so before our guest joins us, let's just take a look at some of the controls that you might want for yourself. Down here, you've got your mic mute. So if you want to mute yourself, you can do that. You can also change your input or your output or enable or disable echo cancellation as long as you're not recording. Camera you can change as well, so long as you're not recording. You also have the mirror option, which is on by default. Most people prefer that, but you can switch it off if you want to see yourself the other way. Screen share, that's for you or any guest in the room to share their screen. If a guest wants to do it, they will have to click it and it will allow you to approve or deny that. Only one person in the room can do this at a time, but whoever is sharing, if you're recording, that will also record them. The last question feature, this is helpful to help keep your guests calm and not worry about forgetting the question that they're answering. I came up with this feature because it's happened to me before. I lose my train of thought. I don't know what question I was actually responding to. So this flows only from host to guest. It just allows you to turn it on here to see it for yourself. It doesn't affect the guests seeing it. It can still be off for them, even if you have it turned on here, but it'll just show you what it's currently showing them if they have it on. Record, self-explanatory, leave. We don't want to do that right now. You can also rename the session if you forgot to name it or you want to change it. Up here, just click this pencil icon. Now, there are a couple of other things I want to show you right now and some more that I'm going to save till later. But over on the right sidebar here, if you still need the guest link to get someone to join last minute or you want to have a producer join, you can get the guest link here or create and copy a producer link. Okay, conveniently, our guest is requesting to join right now. You can set them to producer mode if you want to admit this person as a producer. That's fine. We're just going to keep this one as guest right now. I'm going to go ahead and let Stacy in. You can also see here, I've got this reminder that I'm not recording. This is helpful because we've probably all been there where you have a great interview going or you finish the entire interview and realize you didn't hit record. I'm not supposed to be recording yet, so I'm just going to clear that. Okay, so we've got our guest in the room. That's fantastic. Now we're going to take a closer look at some of the other features and controls here in our recording session. First, on the top right here is the participants panel. So this has a lot of details and information regarding everybody who is in the room and their settings. This is me on the top, so I can adjust my mic in, my output, my camera, echo cancellation if needed. Your guests are not going to get a detailed view of everyone like this. This is only for the host or a producer if a producer is in the room. Camera resolution and frame rate, that's particularly important if you're doing a 4K recording. You're really going to want to keep an eye on that. You can request to change your guest settings from here. So it can't just change it automatically. They will get a pop-up asking if they want to approve it, But if you need to help them configure their audio, or you just want to make sure that they've got their correct microphone selected, you can do that by looking here or using the drop downs to change it. You can also mute anybody in the room from here. You can turn their camera off. If you need to turn it on from an off state, it will request permission from them. Echo cancellation, same thing. And you can also switch roles here for other people in the room. So this is a guest currently. We could switch them to producer or switch them back if they were a producer. There's also an icon here to remove a person from a session. You'll also notice we've got these gray icons right here and the ready status. That has to do with their upload during the actual recording, which we will see in just a bit. And that same information is copied down here in the lower left. We've also got a chat in the room, which is particularly helpful if you're trying to troubleshoot with a guest. If you can't hear them or they can't hear you, you can type messages back and forth. A notes panel for keeping notes, and they will be available after your recording session, and they can be useful for you or your editor. And when we are doing the recording here, I'll show you a nice little feature that we have with this notepad. Finally, we have the settings here. So these are some more advanced settings you may need, or your guests, so it's good to know that they exist. Your guests won't have all of these options. They will have some, including the CPU/bandwidth saver. This is ideal for slower internet connections or older computers that can't really keep up. It will disable incoming video. So people will still be recorded as they should be, but they won't be able to see other people's video during the live call. So if I were to turn this on right now, I will stop seeing my guests. That means my internet bandwidth is freed up from bringing in that video feed, and my computer doesn't have to actually process and display that. Not a problem on most modern computers, but for older ones, it could be. So if your guests are having any issues where their connection quality seems to be dropping or their computer is struggling, have them try to switch that on. Hide my video, that's for if you just don't want to see yourself, and guests do have this option as well. Some people don't like to see themselves, or they just want to have a bigger view of the other guests in the room, so you can switch that on or off. Talk time, that's particularly useful if you have multiple guests in the room and you want to try to treat everybody fairly and make sure everybody gets an equal time to talk. You can switch that on, and in their top right corner, you'll see a number indicating how much each person has spoke. In this case, I've not been very fair to my guests at all. 4K recording this session, that is an override from your default 4K setting, which you can set at the show level if you want 4K to be enabled by default. That's only going to be actually recording 4K if anybody in the room's camera supports it. But in this case, I've got it off by default, so it's already off here in the session. But if I wanted it to be on for this session, or if I wanted it to be off, the opposite of whatever default I have set, you can control that here, and it will be in effect for this session only. Finally, we have the lock session option. That is to prevent other people from requesting to join the room. And that might be useful if you have back-to-back recordings and you don't want to be interrupted by someone knocking at your room while you're talking to another guest. The room automatically unlocks when you hit stop on a recording, just so you don't accidentally forget that it is locked and someone else is trying to wait to join your room. You've also got pin icons on each video panel, also audio meters in the lower right corner. These are good just to keep an eye on. If someone's audio level is constantly up in the red, they might want to turn their level down. That's probably having negative effects on the audio. You don't want it to be too quiet either, but so long as you can hear them and it's clear, trust your ears, that's usually fine. And this icon here is for their connection quality, same with yours. If you see it drop to yellow or red, that could be a sign that something is going wrong. But typically, so long as the call is still fine, you're not experiencing any lag or delays, then it's okay to proceed. Just keep an eye on things, keep an eye on their recording status, and if some issues do start to pop up, SureTake will warn you if anything is going severely wrong that could put your recording at risk. With all that said, I think we are good to actually start our recording, so I'm going to go ahead and hit record. First, we will see a countdown. The countdown is important. You want to wait for that to finish before you start talking. I personally like to wait a couple more seconds on top of that, just to make sure that you don't accidentally lose the very beginning of your recording and make sure that everything is settled and working well. So now that we are recording, you can see the statuses in the lower left here are green and saving. That's normal. That's exactly what we want to see. That means everyone's high quality file is uploading well in the background. Everything is good. The other cool thing that I wanted to show you was this marker. You've got the notes panel. You can type any notes here. Let's say the guest gives you their website. You want to save that. You could put it here. and that will be saved with your recording after the fact. So whether it's you or an editor accessing the recorded files, the notes from the session will be there along with it. And that makes it really convenient to include timestamp marker notes for different things. Let's say that there's a mistake you want to edit out or you want to point out to your editor. You just hit this icon, or let's say there's a great reel for IG. Let's type that. And now you've got timestamps with those notes. So really quick, you don't have to actually write the time. You don't have to scribble it down on a notepad or type anything to email after. And I think we had a great episode. So it's time that we hit stop and let our files upload. So we're going to see in the lower left, we can see the status of everyone's file. So the other participants, and we, in this case, see a complete message, which means success. Mine is still taking a moment to upload here. The reason that it starts mostly done is because during the call, the file is uploading in the background. So long as someone's internet connection is not too slow, which would slow it down and then leave more to finish at the end, most of the time you're going to see that where it's mostly done and it just needs to finish up. So both of us have this success message here, no error messages, that's perfect, and it is safe to close the page. When you see that, you know you're good to go, leave the session, and everyone's files are where they need to be. We can go ahead now and leave the room. We always get a confirmation when anyone tries to leave the room, especially if you're recording or uploading. You don't want to leave too early, but in this case, everything is good. We're safe to leave. So we can go ahead and hit end session, and we will be brought back to our dashboard from here.